And now, you priests, this warning is for you. That's Malachi 2:1. God, through Malachi, spent chapter 1 of this book explaining how we people defile and dishonor him. Now, he moves into correction mode. He starts with priests. The original ordained priesthood was comprised of men descended from Levi, who was one of Jacob's 12 sons. There were special regulations and requirements and stipulations for the Levites, or the priests of God, in how that they were to live as well as how they ministered. All of that was in effect, mostly unencumbered, until the Assyrian and Babylonian exiles. Afterwards, all official bloodlines of priests descended from the Levites were wiped away as 11 of the 12 original tribes of Israel passed into history, including the Levites, from whom came that Jewish priesthood. Now, years later, after the Jews have returned to their homeland and are half-hearted in their worship of Adonai, the priests of the rebuilt temple are, in some ways, a shadow of their former ancestors. Some may indeed be descendants of Levites, some may not be. New priests attempted to follow those Levitical codes, but they weren't doing so with the same focus that the original priests had. It's true, there were family records going back many generations even before the exiles, but the true priesthood, like the original tribe of Levi, was gone. Yet someone had to minister. Someone had to serve as priest in this new temple, in the rebuilt temple of Zerubbabel. Someone had to serve in the role even if the original cohesive tribe no longer existed. Throughout captivity, the Jews had preserved their faith, and again, it's logical to assume some Levites had survived as well. Many believe that Malachi himself was a Levite. It is, then, ironic and fitting that his prophecy contains a section where God chastises the priests. That's here, where God cites a warning to his priesthood. He holds priests and pastors to a standard that he doesn't hold all others. They're just men like any other men, but their calling is unique. It's special as his called representatives. But it's good for us, too, to heed God's chastisement because we're also his messengers. We who follow Jesus carry his message imperfectly, like pastors, to others, and we represent him in many of the same ways the pastor or priest would. It's not a bad thing to consider that God's warning to his priests through Malachi is something that everyone should take to heart. I count as beautiful friends many pastors who have faithfully ministered God's word, as well as many who did that while falling short of those high godly standards. It's from one of them that I share the message that God's grace is so much stronger than any human scorn. Keep that in mind as we read this chapter where God disciplines his priests so they might know and share that wonderful grace even better to people who desperately needed it. We're those desperate people. We need God's grace. We spend all day running after things and doing things because we're independent people who think that if we do enough, we'll somehow please God. But God's pleased not because of anything we do. He's not pleased of anything that we think or say or anything that we fill up our day with. He's pleased because of his Son. He's pleased because we believe in his Son and because we're using this time to focus on him. I'm not perfect. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a priest. I'm just a guy like you who knows a little bit about Jesus, and I'm using a way that I know to try and share him. So you go do that too, today, in the rest of whatever is left of your day, whether it's just starting or nearing the end. Either way, share a little Jesus, but remember, God is holding you to an extremely high standard. He looks in his own mirror to tell what that standard is. Have a great day.